Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers bicycle stops, evading, and deferred adjudication, and is brought to us by General General's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On May 29, 2020, Officer Ryan Thomas of the University of North Texas Police Department stopped 24-year-old Jakari Williams for riding his bicycle on campus at night without a light in Denton, Texas. Officer Thomas's body camera footage shows him exiting his vehicle and approaching Mr. Williams on foot.
Hi there.
Yeah. No, I'm like, you see me? Okay. All right. What's up? What am I doing wrong?
So you're pulled over. So you were riding on the roadway, like without a light.
That's illegal.
Yeah, you have to have a light at nighttime.
All right. Thank you.
Well, do you have your license on you?
No, I don't have my license.
Do you have any kind of ID on you?
I don't think I'm required to give any ID because I'm not.
You're being detained right now. It's like a traffic stop, except you're on a bike. Because when you ride a bike, you follow all the same rules that you do on a roadway.
Well, I don't have ID or I don't have.
You don't have an ID on you right now? All right. What's your last name?
Williams.
Williams? Like how it's normally spelled?
Jekahari.
Jek.
Yeah.
Can you spell that one more slower?
Am I being detained confirmed? Because I don't think it's illegal to have like your license. Actually, can I call my lawyer?
I'm just asking you to identify yourself. You're being stopped because you were riding on the roadway.
I don't think I'm doing anything illegal. I don't know if you're being honest with me.
No, you're like it's in the traffic code.
Officer Thomas claims that he stopped Mr. Williams for not having lights on his bicycle, as required by state law. Section 551.104 of the Texas Transportation Code states that, quote, "A person may not operate a bicycle at nighttime unless the bicycle is equipped with a lamp on the front of the bicycle that emits a white light visible from a distance of at least 500 feet in front of the bicycle." The statute also states that the rear of the bicycle must have an approved red reflector that is visible when directly in front of lawful upper beams of motor vehicle headlamps from all distances from 50 to 300 feet, or a lamp that emits a red light visible from a distance of 500 feet. In the 2004 case of Fulton versus State, the Second District Court of Appeals of Texas found that an officer could lawfully stop an individual for violating this statute, and also clarified that, quote, "Nighttime has been defined as any time between 30 minutes after sunset and 30 minutes before sunrise." Section 551.101 of the Texas Transportation Code also states that, quote, "A person operating a bicycle has the rights and duties applicable to a driver operating a vehicle, unless a provision of this chapter alters a right or duty, or a right or duty applicable to a driver operating a vehicle cannot by its nature apply to a person operating a bicycle." This means the duties that are applicable to the drivers of motor vehicles, such as Section 542.501 of the Texas Transportation Code, which states that, quote, "A person may not willfully fail or refuse to comply with a lawful order or direction of a police officer," apply to both drivers and bicycle operators alike. Therefore, Officer Thomas had a legitimate basis for stopping Mr. Williams, as he was riding a bicycle without a light, and Mr. Williams was obligated to stop.
I was on the sidewalk.
No, but you were coming down Highland Street.
But I was on the bike lane.
That's still the roadway.
What do you want me to do? I don't know.
Hey, I just
Okay.
this is real quick. That's all, and then I'll just have you on your way. It's not the end of the world.
I know, but I don't know. It's just dangerous because, like, you stopped me and I'm a black person in the street, so I feel like I would be a racially profiled.
Okay, no, I understand that concern. That's not what it is at all.
Yeah,
all right. You're riding on the.
There's a lot of people who ride bikes over here, and like I've never seen someone stop before because of a light.
Well, you have to have a light at nighttime. You're on the roadway at night, so.
Sorry. Is everything okay here?
Everything's fine.
Okay.
So.
Hey, dude. Are you being stopped?
Huh? I didn't have a light.
He's riding on the roadway with no light.
No
So,
light?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's
So.
fine then, right?
What's your last name? You said Williams?
Yeah.
What's your first name?
Jakari.
Can you spell that?
Jekahari.
Hari?
Yes.
All right, when's your birthday?
July 12th, 1995. Okay, I'm gonna go home.
No, you're gonna stay right here.
I'm not being.
If you ride away,
Sir,
349, send me a note.
Wrong with him. Sir,
Hey,
he's
if
not
you-
doing anything. Sir,
stop! Stop! Can you stop? All right.
No, I'm not being detained.
Yes, you are.
I'm not under arrest for
All right,
anything.
you're gonna be
wait,
evading.
His light was just out, right?
I'm not.
No, he
evading
has no
arrest
light.
because I don't have anything.
Okay, he has
Can
no
you stay?
light.
All right. All right. I've stopped you for a bike stop. All right. You're not free to leave.
Okay.
All right. So can you put the bike down? Can you have a seat?
Is he being detained?
Am I being detained?
Yes, you are. So can you please have a
Legally?
seat?
What is
Yes.
he being detained for?
Yeah,
sir?
I'm being
Can you have a seat?
detained for not having a light.
I'm sorry. What is he being detained for?
I don't think that's.
Look, you can be under arrest for evading, for just that, trying to ride away, all right?
But that's.
If you cooperate
if
with
I'm
me-
not under arrest because
Can you sit down for
I
me?
haven't done anything worth being under arrest.
As Officer Thomas is talking to him, Mr. Williams attempts to ride away from the scene, but is quickly apprehended. Officer Thomas then informs Mr. Williams that he could be placed under arrest for evading. Section 38.04 of the Texas Penal Code, which defines the offense of evading arrest or detention, states that, quote, a person commits an offense if he intentionally flees from a person he knows is a peace officer or federal special investigator attempting lawfully to arrest or detain him. In the 2007 case of Mayfield versus State, the 6th District Court of Appeals of Texas explained that, quote, the statute does not require high-speed fleeing or even effectual fleeing. It requires only an attempt to get away from a known officer of the law. Thus, under the law, fleeing slowly is still fleeing. Additionally, in the 1995 case of Green versus State, the Court of Appeals of Texas in Texarkana upheld an evading conviction under similar circumstances to this situation, where an individual refused to stop when an officer attempted to detain him for riding a bicycle at night without lights. The court explained that, quote, a refusal to comply with a lawful order, knowing the order came from a police officer, constitutes the offense of evading detention, and that, quote, riding in the middle of the street after nightfall with no lights on his bicycle constituted traffic offenses. An officer may stop an individual for committing a traffic offense. Accordingly, the officer had a lawful reason to stop the bicycle and Green. Green's refusal to comply with his request can be defined as an attempt to evade detention. Given this clear legal precedent, it is very likely that a court would find that Mr. Williams' attempt to ride away constituted a violation of the evasion statute.
I just didn't have a light on in my bike.
Right, I understand that, but
I'm sorry.
that's still the
That's
law.
not.
It is the law.
It's not. Okay, can
Look,
you
I'm
show
not-
me the law?
What's your badge number, sir?
349.
349.
Jakari,
I'm just asking.
when's your birthday?
I'm calling my mom.
Are you a UNT student?
Mom, I'm getting stopped at the bike lock because I don't have any, like, I didn't have a bike light. There's 4.
I'm paying my bill.
I'm getting stopped because I didn't have a bike light and there's 5 cops.
Can you tell me why he's being stopped again?
He was stopped because he was riding on the roadway without a light on his bicycle, which is the law.
And it requires
1022.
police people to...
No, ma'am, I stopped him, and then he tried to ride away on me when I told him
my
he was
house is
legally
right
detained.
there.
And so he could be arrested,
Just tell her you're just trying.
but I'm not trying to do all that, all right? I'm just trying to give him a warning, a written warning, but he's not cooperating with me.
Okay, can you give me a written warning?
Well, I need your information first.
Okay, what do you need?
Your birthday, that's all I need.
July 12, 1995.
Thank you, that's all I need.
Okay, can I have my written warning and go home?
Yep, so if you would, just wait right here. Let me go write it up, and I'll have you on your way, okay?
Okay.
I understand you're frustrated, and there's a lot going on in the world. I'm not trying to escalate anything, okay?
Well, I mean, stopping me because I don't have a bike light.
I understand it's frustrating, all right?
I mean,
I
there's
saw
a
that
lot,
and it's
there's
unsafe.
a lot of people that come here all the time without. I'm pretty sure they're biking without a bike lock, and you stopped me, the black person.
Can
so,
you- All right.
Officer Thomas returns to his patrol vehicle and discovers that Mr. Williams has 2 active warrants for his arrest, one out of the city of Denton for an unidentified offense, and another out of Denton County for a probation violation from a previous charge of purchasing alcohol for a minor. Denton County court records show that on March 18, 2019, Mr. Williams received a deferred adjudication for this charge. Deferred adjudication is a type of criminal diversion program offered by the state of Texas, mostly to first-time, lower-level offenders, that's outlined in Article 42A.101 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. Under this program, an individual charged with a crime can plead guilty or nolo contendere, also known as no contest, to the offense in exchange for a deferred finding of guilt. The individual is then placed on probation, and, if they successfully complete probation, the charge against them is dismissed so that they will not have a criminal conviction on their record. However, if the individual violates the terms of the probation, Article 42A.108 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure allows the district district attorney to file a, quote, motion to proceed with an adjudication of guilt and request that the defendant be arrested, detained, and be found guilty of the original charge. After his plea of nolo contendere, Mr. Williams was placed on 12 months of deferred adjudication probation, but on January 13, 2020, a motion to proceed with an adjudication of guilt was filed for an unknown probation violation, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. An arrest warrant is a legal document that is issued by a judge or magistrate that authorizes police officers to take an individual who is accused of a crime into custody. When a judge issues an arrest warrant, Article 15.06 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure authorizes any peace officer to execute it in any county in Texas. However, the law is less clear on whether officers are legally required to arrest an individual with an outstanding warrant. We discussed this issue in further detail in a previous episode of ATA, and I've included a link to this episode in the description if you're interested in learning more. Regardless of whether or not Officer Thomas had the discretion to choose not to arrest Mr. Williams, Texas peace officers always have the authority to arrest an individual with an outstanding warrant, and this situation was no exception.
Hey, Jakari, can you come over here and talk to me real quick,
I prefer to sit right here.
please? I'm asking politely.
I prefer to sit right here.
Why? It's fine. Is it something private? Because like we all know.
He's saying, will I sit? Will I sit?
You all know that what?
Will I walk over?
We know about his personal life, so like nothing's private to him. I don't know why he would go away from the cameras.
Just say what you gotta say.
That
Okay, yeah,
sounds
let's
like
have to say.
not logical.
All right. Jagari, you have 2 warrants, one out of the city of Denton, and then you have one that's a TCIC,
What are the-
and it's out of Denton County for parole violation. All right, and the parole violation, they confirmed on it. So,
What is it?
can you please stand up?
What is it?
What is what?
The
It's a
parole-
warrant.
Can the police officer hear me?
Can you tell us why so we can look that information up
Yeah.
later?
It's all on dentoncounty.com. You can
Okay,
look
well, the
everything
last
on.
time this happened last year, it was very difficult to get in contact with him, and we're going to be the ones taking
So,
care of
Jakari,
him.
can you come over here with me, please?
Ask the police something.
Yeah. Yeah, ask him.
Can you give me a
Yeah.
So I thought the goal was to give him a warning.
I'm sorry?
Why is it always that you have to investigate to see if you can arrest someone that's of color? But if he would have been, it just doesn't make any sense.
Jakari, can you come with me?
Look at whatever previous charge that he has. The charges.
I mean, you would have to arrest me on my bike.
Jay, please.
Mr. Williams was placed under arrest after a brief struggle and charged with resisting arrest, which is a Class A misdemeanor. As of the date of this episode, both the resisting charge and the original charge of purchasing alcohol for a minor are still pending, but a plea hearing is scheduled for both of them on January 11th, 2022. On May 30th, 2020, University of North Texas President Neil Smatresk issued a Twitter statement about the incident and stated that the university's Division of Institutional Equity and Diversity was investigating the officer's actions according to standard protocol. Mr. Williams spoke about his experience at a Black Lives Matter rally a few days after the incident, but it's unclear whether he has filed a complaint or intends to pursue legal action. Before going any further into this analysis, it's important to note that this channel's primary focus is to explore the legal nuance at play during police encounters and shed light on how a court might interpret any given scenario. This channel is not a legitimate resource for understanding racial bias, and this interaction will be analyzed based on the relative law and jurisprudence, not the potential for racial deviation. You are free to draw your own conclusions regarding the racial implications of this encounter, and I've linked some resources in the description if you are interested in learning more about racial bias from qualified professionals. Overall, Officer Thomas gets an A+ for conducting a legitimate traffic stop, making a concerted effort to de-escalate the situation, and for remaining within the bounds of his authority throughout the interaction. There is no doubt that Officer Thomas would have been within his authority to arrest Mr. Williams regardless of whether or not he had warrants, and the video clearly shows that Mr. Williams committed multiple violations in plain view of the officers. At no point did Officer Thomas say or do anything to provoke a response from Mr. Williams, and he went out of his way to maintain a cordial demeanor and keep the interaction as calm and peaceful as possible. The officer took his time to respectfully explain why Mr. Williams was being stopped, and did not place him in handcuffs until the warrants were discovered, despite being well within his authority to do so well beforehand. Ultimately, Officer Thomas also made the decision not to charge Mr. Williams with evading arrest, and was able to peacefully escalate escort him to jail. I commend Officer Thomas for making an effort to de-escalate the situation and carrying out his duty with courtesy and professionalism, and I encourage other members of law enforcement to take note of how Officer Thomas handled this encounter. Mr. Williams gets an F for failing to invoke his right to remain silent, refusing to obey the lawful orders of the officers, and for attempting to leave the scene while being lawfully detained. Setting aside the racial implications of the initial detainment, a majority of Mr. Williams' conduct only served to further incriminate him, and there is no doubt that he could have benefited from invoking his Fifth Amendment rights. Not only did Mr. Williams admit to guilt on several occasions, blatantly attempt to evade arrest, and physically resist the officers, but he also maintained a confrontational attitude and refused to cooperate with Officer Thomas's investigation. It is unclear whether Mr. Williams was aware of the warrants prior to this encounter, but anytime anyone is informed of a warrant for their arrest, it's always a good idea to comply with the arresting officer and handle the warrant in a courtroom. Resisting an inevitable arrest will only result in more charges and a less convincing legal defense. And as stated in many episodes of ATA, it is much more productive to seek justice within the courtroom rather than on the street. In most states, whether or not an arrest is lawful is not a factor in determining whether a resisting arrest violation occurred, as is the case in Texas under Section 38.03. Even if Mr. Williams was a victim of racial bias by being stopped for riding a bicycle with no lights as an African American, how he handled the interaction after being stopped was not conducive to a successful defense against his arrest. And this interaction highlights the importance of having a basic level of understanding of the legal system and constitutional rights in general. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.